Did you ever wonder how attackers are attacking companies, organizations, almost every day? Like every day we are hearing about a new company being hacked, and hackers are dumping their data into the web and leaking it online. Most of these attacks are starting in one important phase, which is initial access. Initial access are the methods attackers use to get their foot in the door of your organization. This episode is essential listening for anyone in the cybersecurity field, business owner, or even curious mind who want to understand how breaches start. So, grab your coffee, look down your endpoints, and let's jump in. You're listening to the Cyber Riddler, where we decipher the offensive and defensive side of the cyber world. I'm Ahmed Mraga. To set the stage, let's define the initial access first. In cybersecurity, this refers to the methods attackers use to establish a foothold in a target environment. It's the very first stage of attack chain and arguably one of the most critical. Without a way in, attackers cannot deploy ransomware, steal data, exfiltrate data, or launch any of their devastating campaigns. Think of it like breaking into a house if someone cannot pick the lock, sneak in through the window, or convincing you to open the door. Attackers, however, have an ever-growing toolbox of tactics for finding the initial way in, and it's our job to understand and defend against them. And remember, one slip is all they need for them to attack your environment. Why focus on initial access, you might wonder, right? Like, there are other attacks. Why focus on the initial access per se? Well, statistics tell us over 80% of successful breaches can be traced back to this first point of entry. If we can secure that door, we make it exponentially harder for attackers to succeed. But why it matters? Let me tell you what will happen if someone hacks your environment. First, you have to cover the cost of the breach. It could be really expensive to recover from an attack. Once attackers gain access, they often move quickly, exploiting privileges and stealing sensitive data within minutes. And lastly, the impact. A single phishing email or misconfigured server can bring an entire company to its knees. As you understand what is the initial access, now let me tell you about the common way used by attackers to hack your organization. Phishing. Phishing is by far the most popular method. In fact, over 90% of successful cyber attack begin with a phishing email. Here's how it works. An attacker crafts a convincing email that looks like it's from a trusted source, maybe your boss, a bank, or a shipment you are waiting for. The email often contains malicious attachment or link to a fake login page. Once you click and provide your information or download and run the attachment, the attacker gains access to your credential or install malware on your system. A real-world example would be the 2020 SolarWinds attack, involved spear phishing emails targeting selected employee, which led to one of the most devastating cyber chain attacks in history. Another common way is exploiting vulnerabilities. Attackers also love taking advantage of unpatched vulnerabilities. When organizations fail to update a software, they leave doors wide open for attackers. Common targets include outdated operating systems, unpatched web applications, and forgotten IoT devices, and most importantly, VPN services. Tools like Shodan make it easy for attackers to scan the internet for exposed and vulnerable systems. One example is the infamous Log4j vulnerability. In the Log4j library, attackers exploited it to compromise thousands of systems worldwide in late 2021. Another common way is credential theft. Stolen credentials are another favorite way for attackers. Attackers get them through various means, such as phishing, brute forcing, or buying credentials from dark web marketplace. If attackers found a valid username and password, they have two ways: either use it themselves or sell it to another hacking group. Once they have valid username and password, they bypass many security controls entirely. This is especially effective when companies don't enforce multi-factor authentication (MFA). Another common way is misconfigured cloud environment. The shift to cloud computing has brought immense benefits, but it's also created new attack surface. Misconfigured storage bucket, weak permission, and exposed APIs are common issues. Attackers use tools to scan for these misconfigurations, gaining access without even needing to compromise the user. The last one in this episode will be supply chain attacks. Supply chain attacks are a growing trend. Instead of attacking you directly, hackers compromise a trusted third-party vendor, a service you rely on. Now that we covered how attackers break in, let's talk about defense. Employee awareness and training. This is really important. We know that it's a lot of work, a lot of effort, but still, it's a must. Yes, sometimes maybe after all of this effort, an employee will be hacked, but still, it's an effort that you have to take. Patch management. Keep software and system up to date. Automate patching where possible. Do update cycles. Focus on critical vulnerabilities first, especially those that are being actively exploited in the wild. Strong authentication. Enforce MFA for all users. Even if an attacker steals password, they will hit a dead end without a second factor. It's bypassable, don't get me wrong, but still, we will make the life of attacker a living hell. Network segmentation and least privileges. In security, there is a principle of least privilege. Limit what an attacker can access if they can break in. And finally, do a regular penetration testing activities and do red teaming activities. Test your defenses with real-world simulation. A thorough penetration test can uncover vulnerabilities before the attackers do. And trust me, sometimes you will find findings that you never expect. So, understanding initial access is the first step toward building a more secure organization. The methods we discussed today, like phishing, exploiting vulnerabilities, credential theft, misconfiguration, and supply chain attacks, are the tools attackers rely on. But with the knowledge and proactive measures, we can make their job a whole lot harder. You've been listening to The Cyber Riddler. Don't forget, initial access is the key. Don't forget to share this episode with anyone you think is interested about this topic. And see you next time.